Okay, I'm back, folks. But like I said, I kind of like what they're doing here with Fandango. To me, it's really interesting, and I'm guessing that this still won't last too long. My assumption on this, just my opinion, but I'm assuming, in my assumption, basically, I'm assuming, I know I sounded a broken record there, but I'm assuming that Booker and Vicky, or if not Booker, or just Booker maybe, or even if it's just Vicky, that one of them, if not both of them, are going to come together along with their assistants or individually, I don't know, and they're going to tell Fandango, hey, if you don't debut real soon, if you don't get in that ring and compete and have a debut match, you're not going to have no match, at all, because you'll be gone, you'll be out of this company. So, to me, I'm thinking that's what's heading. Either that, or they're going to have someone like, say, Kofi or whoever he faces in his first matchup, in his first televised match, come out and just basically, as soon as he starts to leave, come out and basically just drag him right to the ring. And get the match started. I mean, they tried to do the same with Damien Sandow for a while, and it worked until I think finally they had someone have enough of Damien and doing his stick and put him in the ring. So, we'll see what happens, but it's going to go two ways. It's going to end two ways. Either you're going to have the Booker or Vicky or Teddy or Brad, or you're going to have Booker and Vicky or Teddy and Brad or whatever. Just someone's going to tell them, hey, if you don't get in there in that ring and compete, you're going to be out of a job. Or they might go in the direction of having somebody go out and just basically drag him into the ring. So, I don't know. Something's going to happen. I just don't know what it is just yet. But don't expect this whole, hey, I'm not going to debut, I'm not going to wrestle until you get my name right, to last much longer. The next we have Triple H out in the ring, and he gave I know a lot of people complain about Triple H, who's one of my personal favorites. I know they complain about him always taking up time with his promos, but he didn't have that long of a promo. He just basically got to the point. And the point is, he needed a reason. It's like he wasn't sure if he was ready to come. It's like he wasn't sure if he was ready to come back, even though he'd gotten himself, as he put it, in the best ring shape he's been in a while. So basically, he needed a reason to come back. He wasn't sure what that reason was going to be until what happened to Vince, about a month ago at the hands of Brock Lesnar. So basically, that gave him a reason to come back and compete in the ring. Because basically, as he puts it, this is a bit of an old school thing too, because I like this acknowledgement. This is a bit of old school, if you will. He says that he saw his wife, Stephanie, and his kids, who are basically Vince's daughter and Vince's grandkids, at the bedside crying because he was in the hospital because Brock did. And that basically, to him, gave him a reason. Now, I know some people might feel it's a little sadistic that he was smiling, as he says, on the inside. But he was smiling because, as he put it, it gave him his reason. It gave him his reason to come back. And that as soon as he knew Paul Heyman and Vince were going to have a fight last week, he knew that Brock Lesnar wouldn't basically be far behind, and that he knows he has to be there as well to counter that, and that's exactly what happened. And basically, this all leads to Triple H saying, hey, I want a match with you, Brock. The ball's in your court. And I like how he kind of gives that little sinister kind of, question. That kind of sinister ultimatum and question, like, Brock, are you going to just sit? Are you going to accept? Or are you just going to sit there and bleed? Because he acknowledges what he did to him. So, yeah, you could definitely expect Brock and Triple H 2 to happen. But I'm going to guess it's going to be some kind of, as some people are saying, some kind of gimmick match. Either a street fight or Hell in a Cell. And I'm not going to be surprised if they throw in a stipulation. I'm always imagining there's going to be a stipulation that if Brock wins, his match with against Triple H, that Paul Heyman gets either Raw or SmackDown to redub and rechristen as a new ECW. I'm just saying, that's just my thought. I'm just imagining that. Or there could be a stipulation that if both Paul's guys, Punk and Lesnar, lose, then Paul Heyman's out of wrestling and out of the WWE for good. I don't know. It's going to be something that's going to be tying into Paul Heyman's future and what's going to happen. I just feel it. And then we get a backstage video promo from The Shield. And they acknowledge that just like The Undertaker, they're undefeated, and that everybody is watched by the eye of justice from them, even Big Show. And then after that promo, we get Wade Barrett and Alberto Del Rio, which was an okay champion versus champion match. Barrett got the upper hand a few times because Swagger came out, not to the ringside, but just up, near the entranceway, and kind of distracted Del Rio a little bit. But in the end, Del Rio did beat Wade Barrett to get the win. There were some good reversals towards the end. I mean, counters, I guess you could say counters and reversals towards the end. And Del Rio does win by submission. Then we get a political correctness video by Zeb Coulter and Jack Swagger, which was really basically about, I think it was something that says basically real Americans refuse to use political correctness and stuff like that. So you gotta check it out at the We the People Zeb on YouTube, and you'll see what I mean. Then we have a special tag team attraction. We have Primo and Epico with Rosa facing the New Age Outlaws. That's right, the New Age Outlaws, who are in action. Action for the first time on Raw, as Michael Cole put it, in 13 years. And they looked really good. They looked really, really good. Looks like Billy Gunn's kind of balding a little bit up here. But they looked really good. It looked like they hadn't lost a step that much. Road Dogg got double teamed quite a bit during the match, but it didn't look like they lost much of a step. Neither did Billy. As soon as Billy came in, he just cleaned house, and that was it. So the New Age Outlaws won that match, and it was good and I liked it. I liked that they gave the New Age Outlaws that win, because it kind of gives you an idea that maybe they might want to bring the Outlaws back in once in a while to spice up the tag division if they can. So, hold on, look at him, make sure I don't miss anything. And then what happens after that is we finally get an appearance by Mean Gene, and how we get this appearance is they're celebrating, I didn't even know about this. They're celebrating Mae Young's 90th birthday. That's right, and you almost have the entire roster out there. Almost. You see John Cena there, you see Brad Maddox, Vicky, Alex Riley, Ricky Steamboat's son, which was a surprise. That kind of caught me off guard. The PTPers and all them. And you have Gene Okerlund come out. You have Santino there. You have Daniel Bryan. Santino hugging Gene and Daniel Bryan shaking Gene's hands. And then you have Gene Okerlund announce Mae Young, basically welcome her out. And you have Mae Young being helped out by the Divas. So that's pretty cool. And they start singing happy birthday to her, and then that is, basically as they start to sing happy birthday to her, that gets interrupted. It does. Then, you can't have a feel-good moment, right? They interrupted with basically it gets interrupted by CM Punk, who just basically walks through everybody right to the ring like he doesn't care. And again, this kind of tells me that, kind of hints to me that they want to go in a direction with CM Punk's character, if he remains a heel, that's more like he wants change. And I think that change is he just wants to have everything as nothing but pure pro wrestling. I was thinking about this while I was watching Raw, and like I mentioned, with one of the stipulations for both matches involving Paul Heyman's guys, that, to me, let's say if CM Punk won, let's see him, I'll get to this in a minute, But one of the stipulations I thought of was, what if, CM Punk and Lesnar both win their matches, if you will, or at least one of them does. Let's say CM Punk wins his match, and we'll talk about that in a second. That from now here on in, every Raw and SmackDown, and even main event, has to be nothing but wrestling. No more in-ring segments, backstage segments, maybe a few interviews here and there, but nothing but pure pro wrestling, match after match after match. I'm just saying, that's just something I'm thinking they could be teasing eventually, because you would think CM Punk might come out and say something or whatever, but it's like he was just more focused on wrestling, and I'm thinking that's what they're getting at. So basically he comes out, and then we go to commercial, and then out comes Randy Orton, out comes Sheamus, out comes Big Show, out comes out comes Big Show, then Randy, then Sheamus, and the match starts, and it was pretty cool. It was a really good match, and I thought it was a decent fatal 4-way. I mean, I liked how Punk was trying to make sure he was out of harm's way for most of the match, which didn't work out in his favor. But I thought it was a decent match, back and forth. All of them trying to get the licks in and all that. I mean, Big Show basically knocking Punk out of the mat, out for a little bit, was pretty good. So basically, like I say, it was I thought it was a good fatal 4-way. It wasn't the best, but it was good. I think anybody can agree that you're always going to be impressed when Sheamus can get someone like the Big Show into the white noise maneuver and hit white noise on him. That's impressive. So, but basically we get some of the finishers towards the end. We get, I think, Big Show. He chokeslammed. First he looked like he was going to double chokeslam both Sheamus and Randy, but he pushes Sheamus off, chokeslams Randy, and then he chokeslams Sheamus. So, but doesn't but it doesn't get the win. You know what I'm saying? So then you have, I think, Sheamus finally hitting. We get towards the end of the match, and you finally have Sheamus hitting the bro kick on the Big Show, knocking him out of the ring. Then you have Randy hit the RKO, and then you have CM Punk hit a stiff kick to the back of Randy's head, and then hit the GTS to get the win. Thus solidifying that it will be Punk and The Undertaker at WrestleMania. And again, this is kind of like what I'm getting at. About stipulations, I'm thinking if this is the direction they're going with CM Punk, or hinting at that, I'm thinking that if Punk beats Taker and Brock beats Triple H, that let's say Paul Heyman could have one of the shows, have either Raw or SmackDown, and rechristen it as the new ECW under his leadership without any interruption. Or let's say maybe Lesnar loses his match, but Punk does the impossible and wins his match. Then Punk gets what he wants, and that's nothing but pure wrestling. Nothing but wrestling. No, like I mentioned before, no in-ring or backstage segments, maybe a few interviews here and there, but just nothing but wrestling. Which I'm pretty sure anybody in the IWC wouldn't mind seeing that happen if that stipulation was added in. But I do see something like a stipulation to where if both Lesnar and Punk lose, Paul Heyman's out of the WWE. Or if Punk loses, Lesnar wins, then Paul Heyman is no longer Punk's manager or representative, and vice versa. Lesnar loses, same thing. Which would basically, to me, would plant the seeds for that Lesnar-Punk feud that they want to do sometime this year. So, overall, I thought it was decent. I thought Raw was very decent. I liked how they went old school and everything, and had some of the legends. Yes, some of them were the same, some were not, but you gotta expect that. So, I thought it was okay. It's nice to see him go old school. I like seeing the gate barrier, steel barricade, if you will. But it was nice to see that, and that's all I'm going to say. Comment down below, tell me what you guys think, and I'll talk to you later.